live from inside the heavily guarded perimeter of the Westgate shopping mall. Now, this is the second straight day we're coming to you from this location, and yes, it is exclusive, because so far, we are the only cameras allowed inside this complex and as close to ground zero as possible. That's the building behind me. Now, tonight, we're going to focus on the heroes, ordinary shujars, people who went out of their way to save innocent lives, from cameramen to ordinary Kenyans who did the honorable thing. And at the end of the day, on one hot September afternoon, they became unlikely heroes. Sit back. This is going to be an hour to remember on Jeff Koinange Live. And we'll have all this and more in the next hour on this new and improved bench, or stools if you will. It is reloaded, no doubt. It is the Bench 2.0. One of the reasons for that is that you get to take part as viewers on Twitter. My handle is open at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag JKL. Send your tweets, comments, questions. In the next hour, I'll get to read some of them as we go along. But first, as you begin tweeting, listen to my first guest story. He was, if you will, a down-and-out cameraman. He had been fired from his job several years back and was doing documentaries and such like. And on this particular day, was actually heading to a Gurario in Wagige. He got a call from someone inside the Westgate Mall, at Mr. Price to be precise. And he came over and did the honorable thing, armed with only his camera and his son as well, his 20-year-old son. They both made their way here. The rest, you know the story. Remember this name, Joseph Matenge, no doubt etched in the annals of this country's history. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much.
I mean, it's incredible. You were heading to Wagige.
I was heading to Wagige.
To Agurario.
To Agurario.
And you got the call?
Yes, I did.
What time did you get here?
We got a call at around 12:30. And the person who called us said that she was actually, you could tell from her voice that she was in a distress, and she was actually in a grave danger, from what we could tell.
Yeah. So, and you thought, let me come here, let me come with my son, let's just go.
Yeah.
And when you got here, what was the situation? Was it chaos? Was it mayhem?
It was mayhem. There was no access to this place, because all over the things were scattered here. People were running all over, and we could not actually get it through this gate here, through this entrance. We decided to use the entrance there. I mean, the other side, the sideways.
Up the ramp.
Up the ramp, yeah, because that's the only way we could get in there.
And you were allowed in?
Remember, this time round, nobody is actually stopping you, and everybody is running
in the opposite direction.
And we are in the opposite direction, and we were also running to get in here in order to rescue the person who had called us.
So you get to the top of the ramp, and that's where I understand the cooking show was taking part.
Yeah, there was a cooking competition up there. And things were bad. I should say, I've never seen something like that before, because we found dead people, others were alive, and they were mixed. Now separating them, it was not easy. They were yelling, screaming for help all over, and at one point we saw there were two ladies lying somewhere, just at the corner there, and one of them, she was actually stretching her hand. She didn't know that where a foot away there was a grenade that had not exploded. So again, we had to pull her aside in order to remove. I mean, in order to get away from that grenade. Yeah.
So all this time, were you also filming? Did you start filming and helping? What were you doing?
Yeah, we were multitasking with my son. We were actually trying to save people, and at the same time documenting the moment. That's what we were doing.
Weren't you afraid, Joseph, at this time? Weren't you afraid because you saw that scene, the horrific scene before you, and you knew those terrorists were still in the building?
our minds, we had a fixed mind to the target. Our target was to get the person who had called us, who was actually trapped in here.
So you eventually get in?
Despite of those challenges, we didn't care. We were to get her wherever she was.
So you get in?
We get in together with the soldiers. We get in there, and the first task was to clear the people who were in there in the second floor, because that's why we found ourselves in order to get now to have a clear map of the area.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know about this place, neither did they. So we were all strangers in that place.
So she was telling you she's at Mr. Price.
Yeah.
And you don't know where Mr. Price is.
Yeah.
The police don't know where Mr. Price is. But you need to get to Mr. Price.
We need to get to Mr. Price. Let me show you. This is the phone that I was using. And it happened to be our savior, because we were using the phone to communicate with the person who was inside there. Anne was inside in Mr. Price, and she knew the layout of the place. So we were asking her, can you tell us exactly where Mr. Price is, so that we can get in there? And the cops will also listen to the phone. So we communicated, and somehow we got to know where it was. But after a very long time, eventually,
while you were waiting, so just sorry to cut you off, while you were waiting to get to Mr. Price, there was Faith Wambua. Those famous pictures we've seen of Faith lying there, playing dead for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Those were your pictures. Yours and your son Jeff's.
Yeah. Those were my pictures together with Jeff. Now what happened is that when we entered that place, we are in the second floor. Of course, together with the police, we tried to rescue all the people who were in those rooms, and somehow, in the process, we saw that lady lying down with her two kids. We didn't know whether she was alive or not, so we called her, and somehow she lifted her head, and that's when we realized she was alive. So we told her to lie down and to play dead for until we get down there, because those guys were still shooting.
Yeah,
they were still shooting, and where she was, actually there were so many cartridges. To me, it's like the person who was shooting was just next to where she was. Few meters away, there was a dead person, and again on the other side, there was another person who had been injured. I think that person was shot and decided to hide somewhere behind the pillar. We could see them, but we could not get down there to rescue them. So the only thing we did was to tell her to lie down for that time until we get down, which again was not easy. Getting down there took us about 3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hours.
And tell me something, Joseph. Your 20-year-old son. I mean, young man.
Yeah.
What was going through his mind? Did he know he was recording history right then?
Well, I wouldn't know what he was thinking then. No, to me, he's a hero also in his own ways, because I didn't know what he was thinking. Let me put it that way. I could hear him say, he kept on telling me that, Dad, I can see somebody on that end, I can see this and that, I can see some people in that room, can we go and get them out? Now, we could not walk straight, though he could see them, but I told him, no, look here, we cannot go straight, because here we are not armed.
Yeah.
So we have to use the people who are armed to get there. Yeah.
I'll get back to your son in a moment, because his is a story all on its own, Joseph. But did you eventually get to Mr. Price?
Yeah, we got to Mr. Price again after 4 hours.
And were the people still there?
The people are still there. And what happened is that eventually we directed, like I told you earlier, we were using this phone to communicate with the people in the Mr. Price. After they directed us, they told us where it was. That's when again we talked with the police. We communicated to them again. We gave them the direction where to get Mr. Price. So eventually they got in there, and they rescued the 40 people who were in there.
40?
The 40 people.
What did you do after that?
After that, of course, and just before they got out, in fact, they were on their way out. These terrorists again engaged our people in shooting, and some of them were shot, and now these people, the people were trapped in. They had to run again inside there in order to take cover.
Yeah.
So eventually again, of course, there was that shooting that went on for some time. Somehow then we managed to get them out.
And at all this time, Joseph, you are armed with a camera.
Exactly, yeah.
That's all you're armed with.
That's what I was armed with, actually.
Everyone else is shooting in different directions.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was horrible. It was horrible, I should say, because in my lifetime I've never seen something like that before. I've never been in a situation like this. Yes, I was there during 1998 bomb blast, which that was just a bomb blast. It actually exploded, and that was all. But here there was that exchange of fire. So we were in a crossfire for that period of 5 hours. Yeah.
Was there a point where you wanted to just get out of the building, where you just said, you know what, enough is enough,
No.
I am out of here?
We were not to get out of that place before rescuing the people we were looking for. We couldn't. Because again, we have our people who are also armed, and we are also engaging in that, and we are also pushing them. In fact, we were a team. We formed a team in there. So it's like we became a center of communication. Yeah. Center of communication. They were using firearms. Here we were using our phones to communicate, to give them direction. That's what we were doing. Yeah.
At the end of the day, Joseph,
Yes.
when you look at your pictures, which have been used by just about every network on the planet,
Yeah.
your pictures, and they'll be used for months and years to come. How does that make you feel, especially after losing your job from a rival network?
Well, I should say, I don't know what to say about it, but okay, I'm proud that I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm happy that eventually we rescued the people whom we were looking for, and that thing is in record. It's in record, and it was done actually. Yeah. So pictures will always remind me what I did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's come back to your son, because at 20 years old, he's been diagnosed with a growth in his arm.
And
he was actually on his way. He was heading to India that weekend.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Okay. What happened is that a day before we had a fundraising, because we had been asked to raise about 800,000 shillings, so he could go to India for treatment. Unfortunately, the amount of money that we got there was not enough. So even going for this burial function was a way of looking for more money, which again, it never happened.
But he still chose to go in here.
Yeah, in fact, it is him who said that let's not go to this place, to this function. Let's dash and rescue the people. The person who has called you seems to be in danger. Let's go and rescue him. We can actually look for money elsewhere. That's what he said.
But you still need some money, don't you, Joseph? Let's face it. You're not a rich person. You need some money to offset these costs.
Sure. I need money for. Yeah.
If anyone wants to contribute, what's your number?
My number is 0722 851 902.
851 902.
Yeah.
0722.
Yeah.
Anyone wishing to contribute.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Joseph, do you and your son, do you see yourselves as heroes?
Well, people are calling us heroes, but I'm yet to digest this. To know how criteria for one to become a hero. I'm yet to find out. Yeah.
When this thing is put together again.
Yeah.
A year from now, a couple of years from now.
Yeah.
Are you going to go back in there?
Yeah. Life has to to move on. I still come back here. You remember bomb blast? Today people normally go there for to relax and all that. So whatever happened there will not stop us to move on actually, or even to come back here when it has been restructured again. We'll still come back here. Yeah.
And when you took up the calling of journalism, is this one of the reasons? Is this it prepared you for this?
I was prepared for this. I've been into worse places, institutions than this. Than this, even though this was worse than all of them. Yeah.
Do you regret getting into this business?
No, I don't regret, because here I inform people, I educate them. So I'm proud about it.
And your son, is he going to continue with this?
According to him, this is just a part-time job. According to him, he's not doing IT, and he's focused on that, but still he's very good at this one also. Yeah.
You can encourage him to continue,
Oh, sure.
no matter how dangerous, Joseph.
Oh, sure. It is. Well, let me tell you one thing, Jeff. Even the person in the kitchen, being in the kitchen is also dangerous. You never know what can happen in the kitchen.
Sure.
Yeah. Even being a pilot, you never know what can happen when you're airborne.
Do those pictures scare you when you look at them later on? Do they scare you because you've been looking at all these shots?
Well, I should say, I don't get scared because I've seen such kind of pictures before, but they are not good pictures to keep on looking at. Yeah.
Oh, Joseph, I don't know how many cameramen out there can do what you did, my brother, but I gotta give it to you.
Sure, thanks
well
a lot.
Done.
Thanks
good
a lot,
luck,
sir.
and good luck with your son.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
very
very much.
best, yeah?
Thank you, sir.
Joseph Matenge there, telling the story through the lens of his cameras. Him and his son literally recorded history on that day, risked their lives, and not just recorded history, but also saved some innocent lives. Now, coming up on Jeff Koinange Live, two more unlikely heroes. 38-year-old Abdul Haji, many of you have seen him on the various networks, and 43-year-old Harish Rabadia. They didn't know each other on that day, but they know each other now. Most importantly, they saved a lot of lives on that day, just as ordinary Kenyans. Jeff Koinange Live returns in a moment. Don't even think of touching that remote control. We're back in a moment.